Hello, Dr. Vikki Petersen here. I wanted to talk a little bit about an article that just came out, and it was published by CNN. It was just a couple of days ago. It was entitled, "Will a Gluten-Free Diet Improve Your Health?" And, you know, on the face of it, actually, I read this and I liked it. I'll be honest, there was a lot of good data. My hero, Dr. Fasano, was quoted on some recent research that he did. Dr. Leffler from the university, from Harvard University, he's also a gastroenterologist in the area, and he works through the medical school. He stated that gluten is really a protein that humans do not tolerate, and so then the quote was, most people are likely, therefore, gluten sensitive to some degree. So I was like, yeah, good data. And then today and yesterday, a couple of the doctors who work here with me came running in going, "Have you heard about this horrible CNN article?" And I was like, oh, I didn't see it as horrible. But of course, you know, I was looking at it from my perspective and not necessarily from the perspective of someone who wants to cheat on their diet. And there is a facet of this article, well, there are several facets that really are incorrect. And unfortunately, some newer patients here at the clinic did see the article and took it as a lovely excuse to start eating some gluten. So let's look at some specifics of where they went awry. There were several places. One, I just mentioned, Dr. Fasano out of the University of Maryland is really embracing gluten sensitivity. He and other researchers are really doing more and more research in the field, which is wonderful. At the moment, their research is saying that 10% of the population is gluten sensitive. I think we're going to find out it's a lot more, but that's definitely up from the 0% that they used to say, that because they used to say there was no such thing. So we're definitely on the rise there, which is great, and it's increasing awareness. In this study he recently did, he was looking at exactly what happens in the intestines of those who are gluten sensitive, and sure enough, he found the immune system has an inflammatory response. Now, is it the exact same inflammatory response as in a celiac, who their inflammatory response causes complete destruction of their small intestine? No, it's not. We've never said it was, but we did say that it caused the immune system to get inflamed, and then that led to the over 100 different diseases and symptoms associated with gluten sensitivity. And this study corroborated that they absolutely saw on a molecular level changes to the immune system. So that was key. That was a very good response. This article also said that they did a study in Australia on gluten-sensitive people and covertly laced their food with some gluten. Of course, you know, the people entered the study knowing that they were either going to be in a control group or the experimental group, but they went on to say that 68% of these individuals in the study got symptoms returning, and sometimes very rapidly. And so that was all the good news as far as accurate data. But then the study this article threw in some comments like, well, some researchers think you can eat as much gluten as you want if you're gluten sensitive, if you don't feel bad. So there's that definition we really have to clear up. What's the definition of feel bad? Oh, my stomach hurts, or oh, my head is throbbing. How do you feel an autoimmune disease beginning? How do you feel infertility? How do you feel the beginning of joint destruction? You don't. And that's why gluten is called the great masquerader. That's why there's hidden responses to gluten that are maybe even more insidious than that belly ache that you feel so intently, or that headache that you feel so acutely. Those things are acute and you notice them, but that doesn't make them more serious than the things that you cannot feel. And there has been several studies showing whether you're celiac or gluten sensitive, if you are not on a gluten-free diet, your risk of dying increases. I think that kind of says it all. So what we really need to look at here, I mean, if you want to be scientific about it, you can come to a clinic like ours where you can be gluten-free. We can measure you And by the way, this article also says that there's really no test for gluten sensitivity. So I beg to differ. There definitely are. There are some newer ones that are great. Really looking at how the immune system is reacting to that protein, gliadin. Okay, so there definitely are tests that show that, versus we have a panel that goes from celiac all the way through gluten sensitivity. So it's great. One test will show you both, but it's definitely not true that tests don't exist. So what we really have to look at here is, as I was saying, if somebody wanted to be scientific, they could come into the clinic, we could verify, all right, your immune system is not reacting. It seems nice and stable. You've obviously been gluten-free and everything looks good. So that would be step number 1. Then step number 2, is your gut healed? Or do you still have a leaky gut? We could do a test for that and corroborate that. We could do number 3 and make sure there's no cross-reactivity to any other foods in your diet. In other words, you're looking good, okay? Then we could have you eat some gluten. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you wanted to donate yourself to science, you could totally do that. And you could eat gluten for a period of time, see if you felt bad, or maybe you didn't feel anything at all, and then we could do a test to show you what damage was created. A new lab that just came out, Cyrex Labs, has a new test coming out that will show what parts of the body gluten is attacking. And when it's attacking your central nervous system, or it's attacking your joints, or it's attacking your heart, or it's attacking your thyroid, you don't necessarily know immediately. And so you could still feel good. So here's the thing. I would love it if we could cheat on our diet and it wouldn't do us in. It wouldn't do us harm. But everything I know clinically and checking out the research doesn't say that. So this article has some good data in it, but all the pieces that say, oh, you can cheat a little bit here, a little bit there, that's nonsense in my opinion. So I wanted to give you my opinion, and I hope this helps. Show it to people who might be showing it to you and saying, let's go out for pizza tonight, and tell them it's not true. Okay, absolutely not. And I don't want you to play with your health and get ill unnecessarily, because these kind of things are sometimes thrown out by people who cannot fathom being on a gluten-free diet. But I can tell you, in the long run, it's not that hard, and in the long run, it's absolutely worth it. So until next time, I wish you very good health.